Scott Walker just dropped out of the presidential race. Isn't it a shame when a union of people dedicated to a cause are broken up just because some conservative bully feels like crushing them? Yeah, stings, doesn't it? This is why Scott Walker dropped out of the presidential race. Howdy gang, this is simply shocking. Scott Walker, what happened to you? Just a few months ago, you were leading in Iowa and you were practically co-frontrunner with Rip Van Winkle and El Hombre que Quiere Mucho Agua, and now look at you. You're gone. Poof, just like collective bargaining rights in your home state of Wisconsin. Scott Walker was elected governor of Wisconsin as a result of the great Republican shellacking of 2010. After that, he turned his attention to the unions, seeking to eliminate collective bargaining rights for public employees. Now, incidentally, Wisconsin was actually the first state to introduce collective bargaining rights back in 1959. So, this means two things. First, way to go Governor Walker for continuing the Republican tradition of devolving society back to the 1950s. Even Rand Paul only went as far as to oppose the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Hopefully Donald Trump continues this downward trend and announces his support for bloodletting and duels to settle conflict. Second, in mitigating these collective bargaining rights, Scott Walker sought to eliminate one of the few things that makes Wisconsin notable other than having cheese and being the birthplace of Harry Houdini. And, unfortunately, even Harry Houdini couldn't make Scott Walker disappear. Over 900,000 people signed a petition to hold a recall election to get Walker the hell out of Dodge. By comparison, Scott Walker himself has less than 150,000 followers on Twitter. That's pretty pathetic for the official Twitter account of Scott Walkero, which is either a typo or just another Republican attempt to appeal to Hispanics. Let's take a look at one of Scott Walkero's campaign ads. Hola, estoy Scott Walkero. A mí me gusta queso y destruyendo las esperanzas de los americanos de la clase trabajadora. Point is, a lot of people wanted Senor Walkero out of office, but ultimately he won the recall election, and then he won actual re-election in 2014. Pretty impressive for someone who looks like the old, balding version of the ugliest member of a boy band from 20 years ago. So, Scott Walker had momentum coming into this race. You could say he was Scott's sprinter. But he started falling in the polls, and eventually, once Donald Trump got in the race, he became Scott Limper. Give me a break, guys. I only had like 30 minutes to write this. The point is, by the time he got to the Republican debates, he needed a game changer. Some kind of crazy one-liner that would bring in all the news people and catapult him to the top of the race, and maybe even bring down Donald Trump in the process. Now, watch Scott Walker during these clips. You can tell he's trying to drop this bombshell of a line right at the beginning.
Jake,
I want to give Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump.
Okay, here it comes.
Jake, this is what's wrong with this debate. We're not talking about real issues. And Mr. Trump, we don't need an apprentice in the White House. We don't need an apprentice in the White House. We have one right now.
Really? We don't need another apprentice in the White House? That's your line? Man, I wonder how Donald Trump will extinguish that burn.
Look, we brought it out. You were supposed to make $1 billion in the state. You lost 2.2. You have right now a huge budget deficit. That's not a Democratic point. That's a point. That's a fact.
Wow. When you're the candidate spewing one-liners and Donald Trump is citing facts, you know something has gone horribly wrong. After that display, CNN basically decided to just stop asking Scott Walker questions and focusing on people that actually are qualified to be president, like Carly Fiorina, Ben Carson, and Donald Trump. This election is fucking crazy. So, with nothing left to show for his campaign, Scott Walker started to fall into the single digits, and in one poll even 0%, and today the story got leaked that he was dropping out of the race. In response, a former Walker aide tweeted everything that Walker did wrong in this campaign, which, by the way, took 29 tweets. I guess trying to fit everything that Scott Walker did wrong into one tweet would be like trying to fit all the Republican candidates on one stage. It would be a total mess, completely uninformative, and something, or someone, would slip through the cracks. This has been why Scott Walker dropped out of the race. Hey, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Chandler Dean videos for even more fun shenanigans, and also follow me on the social media at Chandler J. Dean. Much appreciated.